Welcome to the special edition of Owning a Piece of America. Should be special, but it's not that special. Last Saturday, there's a shooting rampage at the dance studio in Monterey Park. And we have these two beautiful council members, the servants in the San Gabriel Valley, to talk about the issues, to talk about the thoughts, the feelings, and the representation of Asian. So I want to welcome Council Member John Liu of City of San Gabriel and Councilwoman Eileen Wang of City of Arcadia. Welcome. How did you choose to become a servant?
I'm doing education business in 15 years, and also I'm living 15 years in Arcadia. So I know a lot of the residents there. So every year, the residents and student parents talk with me about our city situation. So as before, I never think about one day I will become the city council. That's why I think so. I need to show my leadership to our students.
When people ask me why you run for this, then I will ask why not? Because I'm a father, so I know education is important to my child. And I'm a husband, I'm a family maker, so I know this is important to make the family better. And I'm a resident here for 22 years. And I believe that this is my obligation, that to contribute my time and efforts and share my thought, make a right decision, and keep the city move forward.
Great. I'm really glad that you guys are in this position. If you can just talk about what happened last Saturday. I mean, we celebrated Lunar New Year. We had a great event. And then at 10:22 p.m., this shooting happened. Give me your thoughts about that.
A huge incident happened there, especially the dance club, the business owner, previous owner, which is the first day, the person, Mr. Ma, he was my friend.
Oh.
So when I know that, very sad. Yeah. So this is for Chinese community, because 11% dead is most of Chinese. About 7% is Chinese, and their family feel it's the sky become the dark. But we still need to encourage the whole community become strong. Monterey Park is strong. Yeah, so that's why I was there, represent my city, to be there, to support them.
John?
Well, around like 11 p.m., then I got a text from our city that telling me we have already sent our police and fire to support that issues. So that night I couldn't sleep because it was really shock when I noticed that especially this is a new year. So I believe the entire thing that shows the community is now become stronger because we have seen that so many people that came out to pray for the people who has injured, that passed away, and also for their family. It doesn't regarding about the races, which ethnic groups they are, but we were together last night.
What policy should we be doing? So even that dance studio, that should be a safe place to go to. And now there's a lot of fear of going to public places, a lot of fear taking transportation.
Well, first of all, I think we are lack of participation. The Asian group, as I said, is a silent majority. We don't participate, we don't register as voters, then we don't have voice. I would say for those policy or the bills that they're pushing for, they may protect some other ethnic groups, but they may sacrifice the API groups because based on our performance academically, we are doing well, but we got punished because you guys are doing too well and you are
model minority.
Right. You guys are monopolizing the whole schools and they believe that we are the reason why other groups cannot be admitted to the school. So this is through the education. It will be a long journey. We are all the farmers planting the seeds. We participate as a first generation's immigrant. We want to plant the seed and our kids is able to, enjoy the harvest.
What is your message to all of us?
We need to speak out. Everybody need to work together. Not only a community leader, not only few people. Never think that yourself is individual. We are group. We are Asian group. We are AAPI group. Everybody need to work together, and also we need to educate our next generation.
We stand up when we have enough voice. And that voice is not only to support your people or the Asian people, but you are gaining more support from other ethnic groups. When we have seen the tragedy in Monterey Park, then we have to see that how the message being sent out to throughout the world. This is not just a tiny city. This is a city representing the API. Asian countries, they already aware. Monterey Park is happening something in California. That means today is not the day like 20 years ago. So when people start making fun of people's accents and making fun of people's how they look like, and even make fun when people they won the elections but still saying no, this is not our people. I think that we are making that become like a less voice because we cannot stop those hatreds, but at least with our participation we are making the change.
Thank you so much for your service. Thank you for not being afraid. Thank you for speaking up for the voiceless. And as you said, Councilwoman, this is also our country. We all belong here. Up next, we'll be interviewing Jessica Lee, a member in the community, and how does it feel? How are they feeling now that there's so much darkness and so much fear? We'll be right back. Welcome to the special edition of Owning a Piece of America. We have two special guests today, Jessica and Hapen M. We will be talking about the horrible tragedy in Monterey Park. Welcome, Hapen. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you.
Jessica, you're an immigrant here. You're born in China, Shanghai. You have been in Monterey Park. Your parents have been going there. Your mother has been dancing all night long, enjoying life. And all of a sudden, we're celebrating Lunar New Year, and a friend of yours passed from that incident. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, it's really hard to mention about the story, but me and my mom have known Mr. Ma, who have been killed in this horrendous shooting. We've been known him for a long time. And my mom used to go to Star Ballroom for dancing, and she would bring me when we would hang out with all her friends. And there was bowling showcases, celebrations, and everybody who went there, they just wanted to be happy and they loved dancing. So we have some really fond memories that will forever stay in Star Ballroom.
Do you have any inclination why this is happening at all? Is this a surprise to you?
I think this is definitely a shock to me personally because this happened to someone I've known for a long time. But I would say that because of anti-Asian, because of the Asian hate and all the crazy things happening, and also the massive shooting, it's happening literally almost nearly every week, like in the whole world. So there's a lot of issues that we need to address, like mental healthness, gun violence, all that, all related to the madness. So it's shocking, but there are reasons behind it, and we have to address.
How does she feel? Is she afraid of going anywhere now?
Yeah, this is so scary that this happened. A lot of us legal Asian immigrants who came to America to live a really good life, and then we work really hard to adapt into this new culture, to learn new languages. And a lot of us just really love dancing, and dancing it might be just the only thing that we really love to do. So we went to dance studios to have fun, to learn new skills, to make companionships. But now this happened just to make us feel that's right in our community, that we can't even feel safe to even to go out and dance. So this really shattered our image of a safe environment.
And Jessica, you know, you're very shy, and this is why you are teaching children to build confidence, you know, when they come to America, just to feel the belonging, so they know the culture. Tell us about that. Like, why are you teaching them, even from talking, walking? Why are you doing that?
Because I grew up in Shanghai, and I moved here when I was 14 years old, and I went to Arcadia. I've lived in a community with majority Asian immigrants, and I found out a lot of, especially Asian kids, they are extremely shy. So I was a super shy person myself. But then through like activities such as modeling, acting, that really boosted my confidence. I felt like when I have confidence, I become a better self, and that's what I want. I want all the future generations, the younger generations, teach them to be confident, because that's very, very important. Doesn't matter where you are in the future. It could be a job interview. You could go to a showcase or anything, but to have confidence, you're going to be a different person. You will be a better person.
So this is a good segue to the CEO of Faith and Economic Empowerment, Hapen M. You just heard the Asian being quiet, don't complain, just happy as what they are, but yet there's a lot of problems.
I want to first begin to say that description is contextual. If you see Asian leaders, Asians in their home countries, boy, they are not shy. They could fight, they could speak, and if you put a microphone in a karaoke room, Asians belt out. So I don't think of that being natural, but more of circumstance in which our history in the United States, where we have been oppressed, where we've had no protection. And so to speak out would mean that we would lose our job, lose our home, lose our livelihood, lose our lives. And so we have learned to survive in that way. I think, though, that the new generation, for many of us, as we are coming into our own and establishing positions of influence, we're learning, actually from other communities of color, how to speak up. We need to speak up. We need to let the world know what we have to offer, what we are contributing, and at the same time, the needs that exist in our community.
Right, but Hapen, they don't know who we are.
Exactly.
What are we doing about this? From the policymaker to nonprofit leaders to local leaders.
Yes, yes.
What changes can we make? Because I'm tired of this.
I agree with you. So there's 50 groups under the AAPI umbrella with 100 languages, right? They're throwing everyone at the kitchen sink. And so whether we don't even share borders, culture, or language, and yet they have lumped all of us together. So I think, first of all, there needs to be a recognition, even amongst our own Asian leaders and our own community members, that by lumping us together, it does disservice to all of us. First, amongst the Asian communities, because it masks the suffering that happens in our communities. But also then, I think at the end of the day, even in the Monterey Park situation, one person's problem, one community's problem, if it is left unaddressed, it will soon become everyone else's problem. Monterey Park, yes, it was about 65% Asian, but there were a lot of other ethnicities, and because the person was not identified, and ultimately we found him in Torrance, everyone was fearful,
right? So going back, what can we do to make difference? First of all, we want to advocate for disaggregation of API data. But first of all, actually, to show and include API data so that we're on stage, we're on the talking points, right? And on the PowerPoints.
We'll be right back. I've been in this country since 1981. I'm finally seeing all Asian on television. This is the first time that I've seen everybody looks like Asian, right? But it took 100 years to have our very own network.
Yes.
And it's still not being shown everywhere, but you know, slowly, it's a start. It's always like we are always left behind. Like other groups are taken care of and we're not. And I'm not complaining, and I think this is who we are, and this is why it happened. You know, Mr. Ma knows probably that there's issues there in the ballroom, but nobody wants to talk about it. They were not part of that marketing and outreach that we're all doing.
For all communities, right? And so again, the model minority myth, and it's a myth, but that concept was put in place in the 60s to put and pit our community against other communities of color. So that model minority myth is robbing us of solidarity with other communities of color. They don't know that we are suffering at same levels. And at the same time, it robs us of resources and investments that would help, as you say, let people know. You know what? In the studio, again, in the articles that I read, people noticed that this gentleman, the perpetrator, the gunman, was unhappy, right? But if they had known of resources to connect him with, you know, it might be a different ending today, right? But those resources, first of all, are not usually linguistically or culturally friendly, usually not accessible, and it's not shared to our communities. And I think that could make a big change as policymakers if they can listen.
You know, in Congress, Congressman Grace Min, Judy Chu, Ted Lieu, and others, but there's very few of them. And I'm hoping they can be a chair of committees that can actually increase the funding.
Yes.
I am really sad that when it comes to funding, like you said, as a nonprofit leader, unfortunately,
very small portion comes to our community.
And you can only do so much.
Exactly.
But because they think Asian is highest household, highest education, but is that true?
There are mostly Asians in the community, and we. Well, I feel like even though you know there's so many Asian, but we still need to, like she said, we have to unite and we have to work together to share Asian loves, and that's how we can be better and be a better all community.
What can we do to make sure that, hey, we're here.
Yes.
We need some changes too.
Yes. So first of all, I would say that I always talk about funding, but the funding to create a pipeline of leaders. We should demand inclusion in those decision-making tables to bring and raise and vote elected officials who hear us, but also look like us, right? Again, being in the decision-making room is where decisions are made that directs resources, but also, again, building capacity in our nonprofit leaders and faith leaders so that we could shine our light.
Yeah,
You know?
and I believe like our culture, I mean, if I will tell my family, my friends, my neighbors to vote for whoever, they know they will vote because they trust me.
Yes.
And most of them are not educated really from like the bill where there's so many bills that they don't understand. And
It's
not,
intimidating.
it's intimidating and it's not in language and they work so hard already. So we got to like educate them also to vote, number one. And also for the policymakers also to speak, include us.
Intentional. I think we should learn from other communities of color, how to protest, how to advocate, how to show up. And I think, again, the Asian community, we need to awaken to do more of that. And I think that our communities have for so long been oppressed and we've kept our voice silent. But now we should learn from other communities that that is the democratic process. Use it.
That's right. And I'm so glad what you're doing, Jessica, is teaching these young adults to start now. And please teach them more to speak up, but always be educated. What can you tell them as a citizen in Monterey Park, Arcadia, San Gabriel Valley?
So I would say that everybody who have passed, all our friends, from our friends and family, that they will be dearly missed. But we should work together and we should educate our younger generations about all these issues, and we should send our Asian loves, and we should just unite everybody to make our community even better, so then we can feel safe in our own community, because it is a really great community to raise kids, and we should feel safe.
And Hapen, if you can please speak, or forever we're going to hold our peace.
First of all, I want to share with our Asian community, let's not make the deaths of the 11 lives be for naught. Let's not just mourn and follow the beaten path of staying quiet. Let's take this as a foundation for why we need to fight and to speak up and to get the attention, utilize the attention that the country, they're seeing us. Maybe not the first time, but a little bit, a better situation to, again, bring better resources and opportunities for our community, but in turn, to bless this country. Second piece is that policymakers, the Asian community, bottom line, we're the same as everyone else. The labels that have been put on us needs to be revisited. Please look at the disaggregated data, include us in your decision-making rooms and policies, outreach program funding. We have a lot to offer, but we need the resources to realize and reach our full potential. So again, when you open and you see the truth, they say, you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. I hope that our country can truly be free to be the best that all of us can be.
Well said. Thank you so much. We got to spread the word of love. We got to spread that we belong here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, the pastors will talk about how can we help them, not just spiritually, but openly. Welcome back to Owning a Piece of America. We're going to continue our town hall discussion on how the community really feels about the rampage of the shooting and the effect emotionally. So, Karina, Jasmine, Catherine, and the mother, Lin. Welcome. Karina, you know more about this than I know. I mean, can you tell me about what you know and how you're feeling?
Okay, so I know about the Monterey Park shooting. It's the death about 11 people that happened that day. And then there's two situations that link together. So there is a Hembra dance studio and the Monterey Park dance studio. So the gunman first shot it at the Monterey Park. And then later on, he went to the Hembra. He wanted to keep shooting on. And then there's a boy called Brendan Tahe. He stopped the situation. He grabbed the weapon away, and then he was able to stop more death. So later on that I find out he graduated from my high school, San Marino High School. I am really, really glad that I have the same math teacher as such a hero.
Well, you're a young Asian, 16 years old, but you're very matured. How does it feel to be Asian in this country?
So I moved over here when I was 6 years old and I grew up over here. First, I feel I was separated. You know, like in our school, we've been sitting different spots and then the teacher treat us differently. But when I grabbed the language, when I learned it, when I keep going, and then I feel I like more accept. Like people treat me as one of the part of American. And then that's what I feel. I think all Asian should be accepted in these communities because it is a really freedom country that everyone should be in here.
How did you learn how to speak English?
So my mom, my family, none of our family know how to speak English, so I have to grab it on by myself. I learned it at school. So first, like in school, you know, when you just move over here, in public school, we have a place called ELD. It's where like English language learning places, and then your English class have to be different. And then so I just keep going, learning by myself, and then I have some tutoring outside of school as well.
So, any news, any services, do you have to translate that to your parents? Are you their translator?
Yeah, I am. The 16 years I've been over here, I've been here like 10 years. So since when I was like 8, I started to translate. Every time we go through airports and stuff, we went traveling. It's all my job. I have to take care of the tickets, everything. I think that really helped me grow myself and then be more mature than other like usual 16 years old. I'm really glad that they're my parents.
That's wonderful. So Jasmine, what is your thought about this? How are you angry? I mean, is it affecting you?
Yes. So about this shooting, I was really scared and shocked because first of all, it's right in the Asian community. Like it's really close to us. And the fact that the people, like the victims of this shooting, we can all know them through a few people around us. So the fact that it's so close makes it really, really scary to me. And also this links to the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms, as you know. So for this, when I heard about this news, I was like, oh my gosh, we shouldn't use guns anymore because this could prevent impulsive shooting. But then I thought, well, if we don't have guns anymore, how do we protect ourselves, right? So yeah, but however, we shouldn't be arguing about, oh, is the Second Amendment right or wrong, or should we abolish it? Right now, what we should focus on is how to stop things like this from happening in the future. So to that, I have 3 ideas.
Yes, give us your ideas.
So my first idea is right now, you know, it's so easy to get a gun owning permit. Like you just have to go to a class. But I think that for people with domestic violence records or criminal records, we should really limit and maybe even restrict their rights from having guns, as you know, to like stop the damage. Second, maybe we should get some sensors and put them in buildings so we can get alerted when someone with a gun walks in, so we can keep an extra eye out for them to prevent things like that from happening. And third of all, the above were the things you could do with law, but what's really important is your mindset. Like if you told a kid don't do this, the fact like they probably won't do it in the future when they grow up. So I think we should start teaching kids how to appropriately use guns to protect yourself instead of like using it to hurt other people. Yeah, so...
And how old are you?
13.
Listen, you guys, this is a 13-year-old talking. Why is it that adults are not talking the way she's talking? Catherine,
Yes,
how old are you, sweetie?
I'm 7 years old.
7 years old. How do you feel?
I feel kind of scared.
You're scared? Why?
I actually don't really know about it because my mom and my sister don't really talk about it because they think I will be scared. So I don't know really about it, but I heard a little bit of it and I'm really scared.
Oh, don't be, because I know you will be protected, and I know they're gonna do everything they can to have better safe place that your mother can go to. And we will keep telling people that you should feel safe. You will be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lin, as an immigrant and I know you know a lot of these women that are dancing, and you probably have danced there before. Can you tell us how you feel?
就是我认识很多就是在里面学习和跳舞的人，所以这件事情我会感到除了害怕，也会非常伤心和愤怒。
She says that she knows many people that dance there and also learn dancing there. So about this thing, she feels very sad and slightly furious.
Yeah, why do you think this happened? I mean, why are Asian women not treated well?
就像大家都知道的，亚洲人其实一般他们的性格都是比较平和的，也是比较胆小的这个民族哈。但是在这次发生的事情，我觉得是和就是凶手的家暴这些是有关系的，因为在我们知道的人当中，大家都知道这个凶手他会有一些家暴的倾向，所以我觉得家暴啊、心理疾病啊和这种案件都是有关的。
Yeah, so she says that, as you know, Asian people are peaceful and like happy people, but she says that this time there's evidence that the shooter has been like domestic violence in their family, and she thinks that domestic violence and mental illness and all of these lead up, and yeah, that's what happened.
Even in the Philippines and other countries, because they want to keep the family together, they sacrifice themselves. So this just tells us that the generation is different, right? And I'm so glad you guys are studying well, you're teaching your mother to speak up, you're giving them that, you know, there are resources out there. And thank you, mothers, for the love. And I know you work very hard to raise these beautiful kids. So thank you, Sheshe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the special edition of Owning a Piece of America. We're going to discuss from the expert matter to the pastors on what this mental illness is all about, what is going on in the society, and how can we avoid or at least stop in this terrible situation. So let me start with Pastor Arnel. Pastor Arnel, how long you been pastoring, and if you can share your experiences and what have you seen in your community, especially in the Filipino community?
Thank you, Faith, for allowing us to be a part of this. I've been pastoring in San Diego for 30 years, been in the U.S. for 33 years now. So this, based on my experience as a pastor, I've counseled people going through this depression, panic attack, mental illness. In fact, I, for one, went through that for about close to 2 years. I almost quit in my pastoral position because I think mental illness is something that we should not take for granted or take it lightly, because it is something that affects not only an individual, but it affects the family. And I, for one, believe that the strength of a church is coming from the strength of the family. And when a family is attacked, when a family is under siege, when it comes to dealing with mental illness, could be depression, anxiety, panic attack, that is the worst. And sometimes the worst case, I believe, is that we try to kind of spiritualize it sometimes, but without realizing that it is a reality that these people are going through. You cannot just tell someone, hey, Faith, maybe you're not doing your devotion anymore, maybe you're not praying that much, or maybe you're not reading your Bible. When we're dealing with mental illness, it is a reality that sometimes I have to remind myself, even though I'm a pastor, I'm not claiming I'm the expert, but at the same time, I have to be making sure that I don't kind of put them in the position where I'm seeing them as not doing well in the spiritual side of it, but I have to check the reality that I have not been in that shoes.
Pastor Rayan de la Fuente, do you believe that Asians don't recognize mental illness? They don't speak up. Based on your experience here, what do you see and where are we missing? What are we missing?
Based on my experience, I can honestly say that there's probably that stigma among Asians when you talk about mental illness. It's something that maybe is not that really acceptable when you have maybe a family member or someone that have a mental illness. Sometimes it's just looked at as someone that's just born with it.
So, Adrian, subject expert matter. I know you have a lot of your experience. I know you're writing a book right now. Comments?
Well, I think one of the things that I'm hearing is that no matter culture or no matter boundary of difference, we have this thought that we have to push through everything, and I think it's almost where we have this mentality that we don't want to be as honest about what we feel, and when it comes to the mental health space, I really want us to shed the light on it, that we can communicate that and not feel like we're going to be demonized or isolated, or it's going to be frowned upon. And I think that no matter how our cultural differences are, one of the things that across the board that we can say that we understand is a thing called pain. No matter how we were raised, no matter culturally, we understand pain, and we all can identify with that and sympathize with that. And I think that just understanding and tapping into being more compassionate towards people that may be dealing with mental illness.
So, you know what's been happening, right, in the Atlanta massacre, Monterey Park last Saturday, yesterday, Half Moon Bay. What is your thought about that? I mean, why? I feel like all the victims are us, and like one after the other. When is this gonna stop? I mean, any thoughts of what's happening?
I think if we're able to understand the gravity of that what we need today is little kindness, and it will have a ripple effect. But the truth of the matter is, regardless of what we do, even the church, come to think of it, last pandemic, churches was shut down. While the bars and clubs are open, the church that can offer help spiritually to spark the love, the kindness, the goodness, was shut down. So I believe the church, like what you said, we have a role to do. And with all the shootings and the violence that are happening, when you exclude God in every society, what can you expect?
And so I'm looking at it, and as we're seeing these tragedies happen culturally, when I saw the Monterey Park situation, it broke my heart. And these things, and I think our culture also is becoming almost desensitized to these type of things. Like we cry for the moment, and then we've just been so wired to move on. And these families are forever damaged. And I don't think that we think about the long-term effect of these things. You know, I was doing some research about the shooter, and they were saying like how he, for the Monterey Park situation, how he sought out some mental help earlier. And,
Right.
It's heartbreaking because it's like, it seems like he was searching for some level of help of some sort. And I think that we just really have to get to a place where we begin to understand the Clark Kent of people and not just love the Superman of people. Mm-hmm. And so I think that our culture is so caught up in performance. We just want to show up well put together. We all have it together, but on the inside we can be imploding. But as long as we perform well, it's going to be okay until we explode.
For me, my first initial reaction was just, please don't be numb to this.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Feel.
Because, just the Uvalde, Texas, that's just not too long ago. I'm a father of 4 kids. So that really, hit you hard when you hear something like that. But then just after that, just a few days after that, then you hear another thing. You hear another thing. And I think as pastors, leaders of the community, I think we have to really put the burden on ourselves, not to be numb to this. Because this is not normal. This is not normal. And it's a powerful reminder that there is brokenness in this world. We're all broken, and we need a Savior, and we need God, and that's what holds us together. When we rise up and we say, let the faith arise over this really terrible things that's happening. And I think as community leaders and pastors, that's really something that we should really take it upon ourselves and continue on and never be numb to this.
Well, amen, amen, and amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Sarah, tell us about your journey coming to America.
I was born and raised in the Philippines, and in the Philippines I used to figure skate for the Philippine team, and then I became a ballerina there. But at around 15 or 16, my family, we sort of lost our home when we were visiting here in the US, and we ended up here with nothing. We really had no home. We didn't know how we were going to stay. And me as an artist, I wanted to keep dancing. I wanted to pursue my dream as a ballerina. And when we landed in New York, it was just trying to figure out how we were going to stay, how I was going to go to school, all of this. Thankfully, after auditioning, I got into the dance world, the classical world of ballet in New York City. I got into the School of American Ballet where I trained. And, just by some miracle, my family was able to survive because of my parents. After a few years, I was able to get a scholarship in the dance world and eventually become a ballerina. But again, remember, we're immigrants. So in the beginning, I had to work for free because I couldn't get paid because of my papers. But I kept trying. I kept working. I kept asking God to help me. One point, I was 17 years old in Philadelphia. I had my luggage, living on a stranger's couch and working for free for Pennsylvania Ballet. And I had to work for them the entire year only to be told that my work papers had been denied. And at that point, I was heartbroken, of course, because I had invested my entire life for this opportunity. And you know what? It was a miracle. A week later, my whole family, we got our green card through my dad, through my parents. And it's really my parents that I need to thank.
Sarah Grace, I feel like you're that model of Gen X, of the millennials, because I look at you, you're almost perfect. But inside you, are you happy?
I think that joy has to come from the inside. And I'm very aware that, nowadays we have social media, we have all these things that are portraying perfectness. But I'm very honest that no one is perfect, especially me. And whenever I talk to people and share my story, I'm very vulnerable, or at least I try to be, and very honest with, the struggles we all share as individuals, as a community. And I try to remind people that, you shouldn't try to find validation through whatever it is, social media or people's praise or fame or being beautiful or perfect. But it's really in love that you share.
So, as a millennial, how can you contribute in the Asian community?
I'd like to think that I can contribute a lot, but really I think most of the time it's about contributing one person at a time in my day-to-day life. And like I said, real relationship in the most basic levels. That's where I want to focus on, with the children, with equipping parents who can be the ones to help their children, promoting healthy families. I think that's what will help mental health the most. Of course, there are families that are not complete, but I think that's where the community can stand in and help and become the mentor where there is no parent.
Well, Sarah Grace, continue what you're doing, spread the Asian love, enjoy being a ballerina, share more of that arts and culture, and I think that's where people needs to get entertained, physically fit, and gaining more friends. So thank you so much for owning a piece of America. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is mine.
Join us again next time. Take your piece.